Hi everybody, welcome back to the Looney Bin. My name is Looney, and today I want to talk about something that really build on this idea I've been having in the last couple weeks. I would say I wouldn't say I've had it for a while, but I do believe that the recent events from the most recent chapter has given me an idea, or at least enhanced the idea I've already initially had, and that is this idea of who is the final villain of One Piece. A lot of people speculate it's either going to be Emu or Blackbeard. For those who believe in Blackbeard as the final villain, they believe that because of how unique Blackbeard is, he is Will of the Deed, there's some unique curse or something wrong with him that would initially lead to, him being the final boss. We also saw how Blackbeard is presented as the complete opposite of Luffy, while during the J arc when they first meet at the bar. We also saw that moment where they talk about dreams never die. And there's also this idea that because this is a pirate manga, of course, it's going to end with a pirate being the final villain. And then you have Emu, who is the tyrant, the king, who is terrorizing people. And Luffy's devil fruit is, Nika, which is the warrior liberation. Right, he will liberate the world from Emu's grasp and control, and as well as the connection with Joy Boy and all that stuff. Right. My idea is that I think the answer to this question, who the final villain is neither going to be Emu or Blackbeard, but a combination of both. It's going to be both of them as the final villain, and I'm going to explain to you a little bit why. And the recent chapter kind of fortified this idea for me. As we know from the recent chapter 1149, we see that Emu has the ability to control or possess other characters, right? We still don't know exactly how the ability works. We are in the assumption that the way it works is that if they are connected in some form of way to the abyss, Emu has control over them through some aspect. Because we see that with the Gorosei and how they are connected, as he was able to literally kill Saturn just by a flick of the wrist or whatever. And now we see that he's able to control someone like Gunko. And I'm thinking over this, and I realize that we never actually see Emu's real body. We assume it's a silhouette, or, he is, or they, she, are draped over by some black cloth. And we don't know how they look. What if that's intentional? What if that's on purpose? Because Emu does not have a physical form. He's a shadow. He is another way to put it is like a soul that is separated from an individual. And I'm sure by now you probably are going to guess is that I think that soul belongs to Blackbeard, who is the body of this incomplete form that exists or existed back during Joy Boy's era, right? So you have Emu, who doesn't have a physical form, right? If we're going to assume for this argument. And you have Blackbeard, who is not only cursed, has the ability to get multiple devil fruits, can't sleep, right? Because he's like missing something. He's missing something important. That's why he can't sleep. That's why he feels like he's cursed and, has the ability to get another devil fruit, right? What if that missing piece, that missing part of Blackbeard is actually Emu's physical form? At some point possibly during the Void Century, something happened where they were separated. Emu's body and Emu's soul was essentially separated into two different beings. My guess would be that the way it happened was somehow Joy Boy was able to do this. Whether it was maybe the One Piece, maybe it was something else, or maybe his haki was just so damn incredible that the last burst he released of his haki before he died legit just separated Emu's body into two halves. We also kind of see just a sneak peek of how powerful Joy Boy's haki was when Emmett would unwrap the rope and it would send a burst of haki that would even send most of the Gorosei back to, Mary Joy. So it's like, it's very well possible that his haki was strong enough where he separated Emu and created these two separate beings, right? two halves, one half a moon, the other the dark side of the moon. You get what I'm saying? Blackbeard having, the D in his initial, and then you have Emu, who is essentially the other side of the moon, which is just in complete darkness. Emu's draped all in red, right? You have these two halves that have been separated somehow, some way. I'm just gonna assume Joe Boy was the one who managed to do this, and they were never able to reconnect, right? Remember, in the Harley text, there's a line that says, "Surely they will meet." Now, we don't know if it means two individuals or multiple individuals. There are some people who, translate it into multiple individuals or just two individuals, right? But what if that's what that line meant, right? The two will surely meet, meaning that Blackbeard and Emu will meet and will finally combine into the final villain, the final demon that we see in the mural. That big demon that's holding what looks and appears to be the Mother Flame. That's why I think that's where Oda is heading to. He's not trying to make one of them a villain. He's trying to essentially, at one point, bring them together to create the final villain. Whether or not which side is going to be the one that's going to be devouring or be the one that initiates the connection and combining each other, I don't know, right? It's tough to say which one will be, but Emu has the power to take control. Emu has the power to take control of other beings, other people. Is it through the abyss, through his devil fruit power? Possibly. So there's that connection you could have with that. But with Blackbeard, you also have that ability that he showcased during Marineford, where he took and killed Whitebeard and took his devil fruit. We don't know how he was able to do it. Maybe it was through the abyss. Maybe Blackbeard has access to the abyss in some form or way. Maybe he's the one who takes over Emu's body, Emu's devil fruit, and combines them together to create this demon. Or Emu takes control over Blackbeard because he has connection to the abyss. Either way, you could have either situation happen, and both of them will form the final being, the final demon that Luffy and his allies will have to defeat. And I think that's what Oda is essentially trying to go for. I think all of the abyss stuff, all of the abilities to possess others, right? These debate between Blackbeard and Emu being one of the villains of One Piece, Blackbeard being the pirate, Emu being the tyrant, it's a really big debate. But what if he's trying to combine them together because they're both the missing pieces that will combine together? We all assume that the will of the D, right? The half moon are referring to the individuals with the D in their name who are going to be the ones who will finally meet each other or something like that. But what if the whole thing is not about that, but it's about the demon itself, that the two halves of the moon that you see the light and the moon that you see the pure darkness, combined together. I understand that it doesn't really make sense with Blackbeard being the other half moon, but he has the initial D in his name. He is the half moon people, right? Unless something else happens and he took that name for whatever reasons, right? I think it fits that these two will meet to create that final demon form that Luffy will have to be at the end during the final war, right? I don't know how it's going to occur. I don't know when Blackbeard and Emu are going to meet, but I think that's what Oda is setting up. I think by having these two halves that are slightly different from each other, but they both represent a certain theme of the story, whether it be liberation, whether it be darkness, whether it be, the will of the D, half moon people, all of this is going to lead to them combining and finding each other once again. Like I mentioned in the very beginning, Emu doesn't have or appears to have a physical form that we see. He's covered in these black drapes, these black clothings, right? Right? Or maybe they're not even black clothing. Maybe they're just that's just how Emu looks like because he doesn't have or she doesn't have a physical form. Maybe that's why he's after Lily, to get that physical form. Or not Lily, Vivi, to get that physical form. What if it's all of that is connected and then at some point they're going to merge together to create that final demon? I think that's where this idea has come from the recent chapter, because it, we can continue arguing and debating about whether Emu or Blackbeard will be the final villain, one of the two. But I mean, I haven't heard anyone talk about how like they both could be. You know, they will surely meet. They will meet. They will combine and create this final villain, and thus both of them will be the final villain because they're both missing something, right? At least the way I view it, they're missing something. Emu's missing a physical form. Blackbeard's missing something that's causing him to not sleep, causing him to get cursed, like something separated from him. Joy Boy must have done something, and I think at the final war, one of them is going to combine with the other, and they will form that final villain that will essentially be the final opponent Luffy will face to then bring out the romance dawn of the new world. So let me know what you think, and let me know in the comments whether or not you still view Emu or Blackbeard as just being the sole villain, that something else will happen, you know, where one of them will go away and it will just be left to one person. But I truly believe that that's where Oda is trying to at least align at some point, right? And I think that if there's any sort of connection between them, I think we will eventually see very soon. So let me know, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.